Welcome to episode 8 of the BenchMop Scrubs podcast. Guys, today's a great day, so I want to start off with a little joke for you guys that I heard today. Had me rolling for like 10 minutes, all right? So, did you guys hear about that cow that got stuck in the tornado? Heard it was
No.
utter... No, you're not supposed to say anything.
You asked a question.
That's not... It's to the audience. God.
I am the audience.
Okay, all right.
You have a mic. How are you the audience, Danielle?
Okay, all right. Come on, guys.
Try it again.
We got
One more
this, we
time. You got this.
What is
You
going
got
on
this.
right now?
Freaking A. All right.
All right, here we go.
Welcome to episode 8 of the BenchMop Scrubs podcast. Today is a phenomenal day, guys. I heard a great joke, so I want to share it with you guys. So, did you guys hear about that cow that got stuck in a tornado? Heard it was a utter disaster. Hello?
Dude, can you just make sure you hit record this time?
I did. Don't worry. It's recording. I promise. So, quick thing, listeners, we're always glad to hear you guys.
Sorry, no.
What?
we have to do that again.
Why do we have to do again?
Because you wanted like a 5-second pause.
Yeah, Ibrahim gave me like 0 seconds.
No, trust me, because I know what's gonna happen. We're gonna go back and we're gonna go, shoot, it didn't turn out right, and then the is gonna record on his own.
I feel like we have enough material for the joke.
You have enough material for the joke.
Come on, okay, just give him
No,
a 5-second.
It's fine. I'll just cut this off. We can do it. We'll start off with the AFC, going to the NFC, and then we'll give you our predictions and thoughts about everything that happened in those games, and then also a couple controversial plays in the Chiefs and Browns games that happened, and then we'll see how it goes. And we're really excited to break it down for you guys. And once again, we're always excited and happy and super grateful for you guys for always listening to us and giving us your support.
And Danielle for listening to us like 4 times.
Yeah, and for Danielle for ruining my joke multiple times. Yeah.
I'm here to increase our numbers, okay?
But shout out to Ibrahim Chaudhry for joining us today, even though he was having a nap. Is it having a nap or taking a nap?
Taking.
I had COVID, jerk.
That's what I'm saying. Shout out. I'm giving you a shout out. That I'm saying, wow, like you had that and you're still with us, and we're really glad.
Start with COVID, not the nap.
I'm leading into it.
It's more impressive to Abeid that Ibrahim woke up from a nap to join us on this podcast than him recovering from COVID.
It's a process. Trust the process. Trust that I will lead into it.
I've been trusting your process.
Thanks. You trust me, Danielle?
Look where it's gotten you.
Okay. Well, you know what? Oh, God. Speaking of where it's gotten me, let's start off with the first game. I don't think that's a terrible segue, but we're just going to go into it. We got the Bills and Ravens, kind of a defensive battle. Not much of us expected that going into it, but very impressed with Buffalo and how they kind of came out and played and shut down the Ravens to just 3 points, a high-powered number 1 rushing attack for the past 2 years, and they were able to hold them to just 3 points. And the defense balled out, played well. Josh Allen didn't have his best game, but he was efficient. He didn't turn the ball over. They didn't really particularly run the ball, but he did just enough to win. And at the end of the day, a win is a win in the playoffs, and they're moving on to the next round. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts. So I'll start off with Yusuf. What did you think about that game, bud?
Yeah, man, I think you hit it on the head. They did just enough, right? Josh Allen especially. This guy is a guy I've been impressed with since he's entered the league, to be honest. Why are you laughing?
He just laughed at his own joke.
No, because Ibrahim was laughing. That's why.
Obey just got the utter joke.
Yeah, he just got the other joke.
Oh, because the milk. Okay.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. Okay.
This episode's gonna be like more unnecessary stuff than actual football stuff.
All right, no, seriously, but going back to the Ravens and the Bills, what Josh Allen was able to do this past week, was very impressive. He did just enough, like Ubaid was saying. Didn't make any mistakes, made the plays when they needed him the most, and ultimately connected with Stephon Diggs, right? That's his number one target. That's his number one receiver and their biggest weapon, honestly, on the offensive side. They don't really have a rush game. It was pretty evident against the Ravens as well. The Ravens held them to a couple yards only. I don't even think they got over 30 yards, honestly. And they got it done throwing the ball, which is kind of what I was talking about in the previous podcast. That's what they were going to need to do to beat this Ravens team. On the other side of it, the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he's a stud. Nobody denies it. He's got wheels. He can run. But the one area where I think he needs to get a little bit better is the pocket passing. If you look at the game against the Bills, he only had 34 yards rushing on 9 carries, which is a stark difference from what he was able to do against the Tennessee Titans, where he just literally ran over them, right? He had like 136 yards. So what the Bills did was they forced him to beat him throwing the ball. He wasn't able to really do that. Unfortunately, he got injured late in the game. Hopefully he's doing a lot better. But that's where the next evolution is for Lamar Jackson, right? If you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, who are able to do it on the ground running as well as throw it from the pocket, that's where Lamar Jackson, if he's able to do that, if he's able to evolve into that type of passer, the Ravens are going to be deadly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game, right? Bills versus the Ravens. You have, in my opinion, 2 really, really good offenses. And it turned out to be the score of, 17-3 with the Bills winning it. If you had mentioned that, at the beginning of the week, no one could have predicted that, because these offenses, both of them are very dynamic, and they're also built very differently. The Bills rely fully on, throwing, and they don't really run the ball. The Ravens, on the other hand, rely solely on, mostly running the ball with, the 3-headed monster, Gus Edwards, Mark Ingram, and then the rookie J.K. Dobbins, and Lamar Jackson himself, who's a highlight reel. So 17-3 is a very, very low scoring game, especially with these two offenses. So I was very surprised, and props to both defenses, the Bills as well as the Ravens, who I did not expect to, hold Lamar Jackson to, under 50 yards running, and, not allowing a touchdown either. So going into the halftime, it was a very, very close game, right? 3-3. And then the game changing possession, I believe, was when Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were at the 9-yard line of the Buffalo Bills, and Lamar Jackson throws that interception, which Taron Johnson returns it for 101 yards and takes it to the house. And that kind of changed the game, in my opinion, because if they score there, it's a tie game, 10-10. And with that interception, Bills go up 17-3. And after that, Lamar gets injured, and then you have this random guy that no one's ever heard of, Huntley, that comes in and struggles. I think that was one of the things I was surprised with. The Ravens are a really good organization, in my opinion, but the one thing that they suffered was not having a quality backup. And especially you would think, with Lamar Jackson and the amount of time he runs, and, how prone he is to injury, because the more you run, the more prone you are to getting tackled and something going wrong. As we saw in the Browns versus the Chiefs game, any quarterback can get hurt and, kind of be out for the game. And that's what happened with Lamar, and not having a solid backup definitely hurt them in this game. So, let's see what happens. I mean, I was disappointed by the Bills offense. I mean, I agree, win is a win, and I agree that, they did enough, but scoring 10 points, if you take out the touchdown by the defensive team, by the defense on the Buffalo Bills, they only scored 10 points, which in my opinion, is not going to get you to win the AFC Championship or win the Super Bowl.
I mean, I don't understand that statement, because they got to win with 10 points.
I said it's a win. I'm not saying it's not a win. I'm saying if you play that way and you only score 10 points, you're not going to win again. That's my thought process.
Except for the game they won. Got it. But yeah, let me kind of wrap up with my thoughts here. I think, I feel like I got to drop some knowledge here, right? We haven't had a playoff game up in Buffalo in more than 2 decades. I think the last game was in 1997, and people forget how bad the weather is in Buffalo at this time.
The last game was last week in Buffalo, by the way.
It was 1993. But we forget how bad the weather is up in Buffalo. And a big thing here was, if you actually break down the stats and look at the quarters, when Lamar Jackson has the wind to his back in the second quarter, he completes 7 out of 9 passes. He gets about 117 yards passing. The other 2 quarters that he played, the first and the third quarter, basically he got him about 40 yards, and he only completed five or 6 passes, right? And he was sacked 3 times. And so, we overlooked the fact of the weather playing in this game. But also the Ravens forgot who they were. They forgot they were a running team. How did they pass the ball 37 times in this game and only run it 32 times? To me, it was definitely shocking. It wasn't a blowout game where they had to put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands and make him throw for a win. For most of the game, it was a one score game, and so they had a lot of opportunities. They should have focused more on the run. They had no running back or runner go for more than 42 yards. They forgot who they were, and the Bills did the complete opposite. They played within themselves. They forced Lamar Jackson to beat them with his arm, and he couldn't do that. And when we talk about that interception, he stared down his receiver. He did not look anywhere else. He didn't look at any other options. And that pick, the Bills got lucky, right? Normally when you get a pick in the middle of the field, you're not returning it for a touchdown. But they got lucky because all the receivers were behind the quarterback when he caught the ball, and he had a full steam ahead, and it was just open space. It was just green. And so they definitely got lucky in terms of timing, but and spacing on that play. But props to him for taking it to the house. But I'm really surprised. But the Buffalo Bills are going to the championship round. They're one game away from the Super Bowl, and I'm just happy for the Bills fans because they just seem like great people. I'm not sure if you guys are all aware, but Yusuf was telling me earlier that when Lamar Jackson went down with an injury at the end of the third, they all started making donations to his nonprofit. So big shout out to the Buffalo Bills fans for doing that.
And the nonprofit guys, shout out to them. Blessings in a Backpack provides food for kids on weekends who are in elementary school who otherwise wouldn't have food. So please go out, donate to them. Shout out to Lamar Jackson for a great charity, and also big ups to the Bills Mafia for proving to be one of the best fan bases in all of sports, for donating to their opponent's quarterback, which is fantastic.
You love to see it, man.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, let's move on to the other game where you had the Chiefs and you had the Browns, and you had almost an upset, in my opinion. But what a game, and another kind of a defensive game, you would say, with two kind of high-powered offenses with mid-range defenses, and the unfortunate injury to Patrick Mahomes. We had the Cleveland Browns almost pulling off the upset, but if it wasn't for the heroics of Chad Henne, shout out University of Michigan, and also big ups Henne Mania and that Chiefs defense stepping up to help the Chiefs move on. And they are champs for a reason. Champs find a way to win, and that's what they did. And they're in the championship game against the Bills, which is going to be proved to be a super exciting and exhilarating way to represent the AFC. So what are you guys' thoughts about that game? In particular, Patrick Mahomes' injury, and also the helmet-to-helmet hit that led to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of want to start with that helmet-to-helmet for a couple of reasons. It's frustrating seeing it from a fan standpoint, seeing it from like a medical standpoint as well. If you guys go and get a chance to look back at that clip, take a look. You'll see it's not until the helmet hits the helmet when he loses the ball, right? That was clear helmet to helmet. And I think what's the biggest frustrating thing for me is that as they were reviewing the fumble, they couldn't review the helmet to helmet call. And I really think the NFL needs to do away with this particular thing is not reviewable, right? Especially when you're preaching safety and player safety, like how a referee can go back and see that footage over and over and over again and see the blatant helmet to helmet, but be like, hey, we didn't call it as it actually occurred, and therefore we're just going to ignore it, especially when that play was as big of a momentum shifter as it was. That could easily have been 7 points for the Browns. And, the Chiefs ended up winning by 5 points. Who knows? I mean, we can always play the shoulda, woulda, coulda game, but could the Browns have squeaked in a victory? And could we have been talking about a Cleveland Buffalo AFC championship? It's possible. And man, I just feel bad for the Cleveland fan base, because it would be the Browns to deal with this misfortune. I think it's unfortunate. It's not good for the game. It's not a good look for the refs and the NFL in general. And it's something that, in the offseason, I think they really, really, really need to consider correcting.
Can I piggyback on that real quick? For those of you that haven't seen the play, the reason why this was such a big impact play was basically whenever you're trying to extend for the goal line, so you're about to score, you're putting your arm out there, and you fumble the ball into the end zone. Basically, the rule is the other team gets the ball, and they start at their 20, and they're going the other way. And so, to me, it was such a big play because, first off, there was a clear helmet to helmet. And so it was a missed call. But on top of that, the entire momentum that they were building completely was flipped on them. The other team got the ball and they were marching down the field. So I definitely want to call that out. And then a big thing on top of that, we kind of underestimate the impact of different plays like that on a game, especially when you take into account that Patrick Mahomes was knocked out the game, right? When it feels like a lot of things are going into your favor, a play like that can really catapult a team and help them take over and kind of get over the hump and get to that next level. And the Browns just lost that opportunity, and it is pretty rough that happened.
Yeah, it's sad, right? I mean, the NFL preaches, safety, and they preach, taking care of their players. But then, when it comes to this, it's kind of hypocritical, what they allowed, to continue, as well as, for the Browns to be kind of decimated by that no call. And I think Obaid mentioned this in the podcast that we did not record, where Kyle, the Steelers coach, in the previous, in the halftime, he was talking about, it's a very unfair penalty, for the ball going out of bounds, that the other team gets it. It should be that the offensive team get the ball at the 20-yard line and be penalized that way. And he mentioned, the biggest penalties are usually 15-yard penalties. So 20-yard penalty would by far be the biggest anyway. But changing, possession and having the other team, when that player was a yard from being, scoring a touchdown and getting the helmet to helmet, the hypocrisy, it's kind of unfortunate. And I feel like this happens in other sports as well, right? You got the NBA, where the refs, call fouls, and then they kind of go, and the ball goes, or don't call fouls, and the ball is, when goes out on a different player, and they kind of go back and kind of check on that. But basically, like the refs go back and they see that, this player was the one that touched the ball last, but they don't really count the foul that occurs, which is kind of clear. And same thing in this case, there was a clear head-to-head penalty. But regardless, I want to talk about the game. It was unfortunate, but overall, when I'm watching the Chiefs play, I feel like I'm watching someone play Madden on offense. They are so fun to watch, and they make it look so easy, right? And I think that's something that intrigues me, right, with Mahomes and all the talent, but they just make it look easy. And I'm like, why can't other teams do that? Like, why can't the Bears get that wide open, right? I mean, it comes back to the Bears for everything, but that's just what it is. I before Mahomes got hurt, I was like, man, we're watching a dynasty, being formed, because, with Mahomes and the talent that they have, I feel like this team's gonna hopefully, Mahomes comes back, and I know Yusuf's gonna be talking more about that, but I hope he comes back because I feel like, man, he has a lot to offer, and this team is gonna, be competing for NFL championships for years to come. Um, and that's the thing, like when you're looking at their offense, how do you beat this team? If you have a healthy Mahomes, they're gonna score on every single possession. And that's just what it is. The one last thing I want to talk about is Andy Reid. I know Yusuf's a big fan of him, and I know he's one of the top coaches, and I'm so glad that he won a championship last year. But man, with a backup quarterback, 4th and 1, and you do that gutsy call on throwing it to Tyreek Hill, how many coaches would do that, and how many coaches would convert? Right, there's two things. I bet Nagy goes for it too, but does some stupid trick play that screws it up. But man, with the what's it called, Reed, gutsy call with the backup quarterback, and you go for it and you win the game. And that's what had me going crazy, because I was shocked that they went for it, but man, they made it. They succeeded and they won the game, and that's what matters.
We're all rooting for Patrick Mahomes to get better so he can win more championships, and hopefully he does good. But just kind of breaking down a little bit of what happened during that play for when he got injured. We got our resident doctor, Dr. Yusuf Saeed, kind of break down to us what you saw and how do you think he's going to hold up if he even is allowed to play in the next game. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, man. That was definitely scary to see. Prayers out to him. I hope he recovers. Seeing it as a fan, it's really scary. And then even, being in the medical profession, and, I work in the clinic, so we deal with, young athletes and high schoolers that come in with concussions. And, the next step after that, and the first question they always ask is, Doc, when can I go back in? Right. And so there's a fine line in patient safety. I mean, that's the priority. And then obviously, coaches, players, teammates wanting their star out there as soon as possible. When I saw that play, I wasn't sure, was it a concussion? Was it, something else? Was it a spinal thing? Because his head never really hit the ground, right? And I've seen this clip multiple times now, and it makes me think, ultimately, I think what we're dealing with here is a concussion / possibly a brainstem injury, honestly. And, you ultimately hope for the best for Patrick Mahomes. But the concerning signs right after he got hit, and he got twisted in a really weird way. And there's some docs that are saying that he might've gotten hit in the back of the head. But the stuff that's alarming is what we call a fencing response. And, for anybody listening, you guys can look this up. But basically, it's when there's a traumatic injury to the brain, your body goes into a primitive state where it'll flex your arms or it'll extend your arms. And if you look at the clip, that's kind of what Patrick Mahomes did with his left arm. He balled up his left hand into a fist and it flexed, and then he extended his leg for a little bit, right? That was number one. That was the most concerning part. Number two was, everyone saw it when he tried to get up, he wobbled. He didn't have, his bearings down. He didn't have balance. And that's kind of what your brainstem does, right? So that leads me to believe that there was some type of impact to his brainstem. I mean, the really reassuring thing is he jogged back to the locker room, and the doctors say he's doing a lot better. And so, he's passing slowly the protocols and everything like that. The NFL has very strict protocols as far as their concussions go and when a player can come back. And I think this honestly is going to be a big testament to see if the NFL is, money driven or health driven, right? And that's not to say, if you see Patrick Mahomes out on Sunday, I'm not trying to say he wasn't medically cleared to be out there, because, there's a very real possibility that he will be out there on Sunday. And if he is medically clear for that, then I'm all for it, right? But if he's not medically cleared, I do not want to see Patrick Mahomes out there just for his well-being, right? Because we get caught up in the moment, but 20, 30 years down the line, the fans won't be there. It'll be him dealing with it. So what the NFL has is similar to kind of what we do in clinic as well, is the 5-step protocol to assure proper safety back for a player to go back to play in a game. And, step one is just basically based on their symptoms. And they'll be engaging in like light stretches, balance training, and then they'll kind of go back to light aerobic exercise. And if they're able to tolerate that, then they do what we call like graduating to step two. And step two basically is cardiovascular exercise, dynamic stretching. And then what they do is they do a neurological and balance test. And it's interesting to point out that before the start of the season, every player does a baseline test. Okay. And so what that baseline test is in a situation where they were to have a concussion, you have something to compare it to. Right. So I think that's a great thing that the NFL has incorporated into their protocol. So that's kind of what they do. Now, if they're back at their baseline from what they were at the start of their season, then they can go on to step three. And step three is basically a limited amount of football specific exercise. That could be just your throwing, taking snaps, stuff like that. And they limit it to about 30 minutes. And this is obviously under the supervision of an athletic trainer. If he's able to tolerate that, then he's going to go to a step four. And that's more football activities, but it's still non-contact drills. So more throwing, more running. And again, he goes through a neurological balance test to compare him to his baseline. And if he's able to do that, then he goes to step five. And step five is something that the NFL is doing. You have your team doctors, you have your team trainers, but what they do is they have an independent examiner, an independent neurologist that has no dog in the fight, right? Who is not pledged allegiance to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's not pledged allegiance to like the Buffalo Bills or anything like that. And if he deems that Patrick Mahomes is medically clear to practice full and play with his team, then you'll see him on Sunday. But until that's not done, you won't see Patrick Mahomes. So, the goal is, and hopefully everyone was able to follow along and kind of understand kind of where the protocol is. A lot goes into concussion protocols. I mean, I can do an entire podcast episode on it. Things like, did this player have a previous concussion? That factors into how long it'll take for him to recover. So along with we're talking about Patrick Mahomes here, he's only had one concussion in the past, which is good. Obviously you want no concussions, but it's good that he's only had one. And at that time, it took him, he was back for the next game that Texas Tech had. But in that situation, he had a bye, right? And so it was just the way his schedule was made that he was able to come to the next game. On average, because every player is different and every situation is different and every injury is different, on average, NFL quarterbacks are able to come back in 7 days. That's kind of what the NFL has based on their data and everything like that. So is there a chance that Patrick Mahomes comes back on Sunday? Yes. Is it probable? I don't know. But certainly if he's medically cleared, that's the only time I want to see Patrick Mahomes, man. I really hope he recovers. And if he's able to be there, that'll be definitely good for the Kansas City Chiefs and football fans in general.
Yusuf, what chance do you give him to play?
Man, it's hard. It's really hard to say.
As a doctor, what percent would you say he has playing this week?
Yeah, I wish I could throw a percentage out there, but until I'm the one out there evaluating him and seeing the progression he's making, it could be anything between 0 to 100%. But I've been keeping up with the articles and like what sources have been saying. I think by Friday or like the weekend, at least, we'll have an idea of whether or not he plays. But to put a percentage on it, really, really hard for me to do at this point,
Well, we appreciate that insight, and that was awesome detail, and definitely knowing the different perspective in terms of seeing the medical aspect of how injuries, especially head injuries, are seen on a daily basis, and how they can be impactful not only to someone's daily life but also sports in relation to Patrick Mahomes. And so we obviously wish the best for Pat, and we hope he's there for the game, and we're all really excited to see Buffalo and Kansas City. And I can tell you, Bills Mafia wants to see Patrick Mahomes out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
100%.
absolutely,
100%.
yeah.
And so speaking of that, we'll make our way out to the NFC side of the ball and talk about a few games there. We had really good games and on that end. Let's start off with the Packers and Rams, and I think as we all expected, we thought that the Packers would win that game, and they kind of won pretty handily. We didn't really expect much, and Aaron Rodgers, the bad man he is, balled out. And Jared Goff, the most overrated and overpaid quarterback in NFL, in my opinion. So
I don't argue with that.
What about Wentz, bro?
Wentz,
No,
and he's
Goff is more overrated.
Wentz and go. I'll honestly give me Carson Wentz over Jared Goff. If Carson Wentz had Sean McVay as a coach, I think he would do phenomenal. Just my opinion. With those weapons on his team, name two receivers on the Eagles that played this year. That's what I thought. We have he has great weapons.
But dude, Jared Goff did not have Cooper Kupp, okay? So,
but they still have Robert Woods and
I'm joking.
Yeah, no, I understand. But they had a good running game.
I mean, dude, it's Aaron Rodgers, man. I don't think anybody, at least us four, I don't think any of us had the Rams beating the Packers. Aaron Rodgers did Aaron Rodgers things out there. He looks, I mean, honestly, from my unbiased standpoint, he looks the most comfortable in the pocket I have seen, probably in his career. I would make
Absolutely.
that. I would make
Absolutely.
that case. I mean, he is.
You think
like it seems like the game is coming so easy for him, and he's picking apart these defenses like they're easy work, like they're candy. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, Rams defense is a top 3 defense in the NFL, and he made them look like a flag football team. That's what he did. I mean, he was just tossing passes, and that 1-yard touchdown run. Oh my God, that fake. And then Leonard Floyd jumped in the air and he just walked into the end zone. That was such a phenomenal Aaron Rodgers-esque play. And then obviously, I know we don't know who the MVP is, but let's just be honest. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers. I know it's Derrick Henry for you, Yusuf, but I know Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the MVP, and he proved it again. And as we were discussing earlier with the Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen connection, man, but I don't know. That's hard. You can't really beat Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. That's a heck of a connection. 18 touchdowns on the year. That's fantastic. And just Aaron Rodgers is balling out. What were your thoughts on that game, Danielle?
Yeah, I mean, all of us thought that it would be a kind of a blowout. We kind of expected that. This was probably one of the games that we all definitely agreed on. One thing was, the Rams, their best defensive player, Aaron Donald, was playing hobbled, as you guys probably saw. He is the best defensive player in the NFL. And he works hard, and you can see the emotion at the end of the game with him, crying, knowing that, they won't be moving on. But the one thing that surprised me in this game was Goff. We bag on him, and but he played well, actually. If you look at the stats, and you watched him play with a broken thumb, he was playing as good as you can play. For a Rams team, like Yusuf mentioned, he was missing Cooper Kupp, probably their best receiver, but nonetheless, he was playing pretty well. And even Cam Akers, their rookie running back, he was playing really well as well. He was kind of killing the Packers on the ground. Halftime, the score was 16-10. And then I remember the Rams were, kind of charging down, and, the Packers were trying to build a big lead. And then there was Lazard dropped a wide open touchdown. I don't know if you guys remember, but would have opened the game wide open, but the Rams couldn't capitalize. Overall, props to the Rams. Thinking about it, no Gurley, and Goff as their main quarterback, no one would have thought the Rams would have gone this far. The defense they've played has been amazing. They've been a top 5 defensive team. Jalen Ramsey's a beast. So overall, really great. And the one thing is, Rams are a pretty good team against the playoffs teams. They were 5-1 against the NFC playoffs team. So overall, they beat pretty good teams in the regular season. So it's not like they were just someone that snuck in. But Aaron Rodgers, can't say enough about the guy. It was an easy win for them.
All right, Ibrahim. So what are your thoughts about that Rams Packers divisional game? Was the outcome what you expected?
I mean, I wasn't surprised. The Packers just, they feel like they're on a team, they're on a mission, and it starts with Aaron Rodgers. After they drafted a quarterback last offseason, he's really come back dialed in and focused. And as a Bears fan, it's heartbreaking because every time I feel like he's old and he's on the decline, he does something like this. And in that game, you're talking about he almost threw for 300 yards. He had 2 touchdowns and 0 sacks, right? So he was getting everything that he wanted. The defense wasn't really putting pressure on him. And, they were killing the Rams going into the third quarter. The Rams had did manage to get a touchdown that quarter, but, they blew them out in my eyes, right? The score, I think, doesn't really show the disparity between the two teams. The Packers were getting after Goff, right? He had 4 sacks. He didn't even crack 200 yards. They had no rushing game whatsoever, right? They had, 19 rushes. Sure, they got almost 100 yards, but compared to the Green Bay Packers, the Packers basically doubled them in terms of rushing. And so, to me, across the board, I don't feel like there's much else to say. The Packers just dominated the Rams. And I'm disappointed with the Rams because I feel like, every year they give you a reason to think that, hey, this might be their year, right? This might be their chance. And they have talent, right? They have great talent. And the big thing there is, Aaron Donald, I just feel bad for him, right? He puts in so much work. He is so talented. But the rest of the team just doesn't deliver when they need to deliver. And I think, in the NFL, all the credit and all the blame should go to the quarterback. And, Jared Goff, he didn't have any turnovers, but he just didn't get it done, right? Sure, he was 21 of 27 in terms of passing, which is a great percentage, but not a ton of yards. He was taking what the defense gave him, but the defense wasn't giving him a lot. And so, it is what I expected. And, if anything, it's better than what I expected for the Rams because, to be honest, I wouldn't have been surprised if the Packers put up 40 on them.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about it really quick. Just a quick comparison, right? I mean, the Packers and the Bears, right? I mean, Bears fan, so I want to talk about those two things, right? So it's interesting how the two different quarterbacks, you have Rodgers, you have Trubisky. The Bears brought in Nick Foles to compete, and Trubisky didn't live up to the potential and kind of let that starting position down. The Packers brought in a rookie quarterback, and it led Aaron Rodgers to have the best season in his career. It kind of speaks volumes. Do you guys think he was motivated with the rookie coming in?
Of course, man. They brought in a young guy. And to be honest, I feel like this is what they did with Brett Favre, right?
Yeah.
Favre was getting comfortable. They brought in Aaron Rodgers, and then Favre was dialed in for the next couple of years because he's like, this kid is not going to take my job. And
so why can't the Bears understand this concept?
Dude, I just am waiting to talk to you about George McCaskey on Chicago Sports Radio, dude. Like, this franchise is in the gutter. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Ted Phillips needs to go. There's no accountability, right? And that's the biggest thing I try to preach, right? Admit that you're wrong. Admit that you made a mistake, and then move forward. Because until you don't accept that fact, you'll just continue on making mistakes. So, like, for example, dude, like Ryan Pace, how long did he not even admit to the fact that was the wrong move with Mitchell Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson? You know what I mean? And so there's a level of acceptance.
Name one GM that's said that they're wrong about a pick.
Theo Epstein. I mean, he wasn't a GM, but
NFL.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, the best, You know what
And
I mean?
that's,
Like acknowledge what the talent is on the team, and
of course, I mean they're not. Let I guess this is not much of a comparison, but the worst run organization is the Houston Texans. Houston sports is in the gutter.
Yeah.
All right, so Chicago is looking way better right now than Houston is.
Can we
So
please take a moment of silence for all the Houston fans out there?
I know.
Yeah.
Shout out to my little cousin who's there. I'm with you, man.
Hey,
Tough times.
yo, did he
Come
give
to
you the
Chicago.
tickets? Yo,
Come to Chicago and
who's
bring
there?
Watson with
Get
you.
me the Houston Rocket tickets.
Bro, we got him a Deshaun Watson jersey because I thought James Harden was going to be on the Rockets.
He's going to be burning that in 2 weeks.
And now Deshaun Watson probably won't be on the
No. See,
Texans.
that's a very different situation. Deshaun Watson is in stand-up character.
No.
Everybody can vouch for
I'm not
him.
denying that. I'm just saying, I thought Deshaun Watson was gonna be on the Texans.
Stick around.
I didn't know this turmoil thing was gonna happen. There's definitely not a
Total off topic, but I think Deshaun Watson's I think he needs to leave. I think that's best for him.
For sure.
I think 2 destinations for him. 3. The number 1 contender, the New York Jets.
Yeah.
Number 2, Miami Dolphins. Dark horse, Carolina Panthers.
Oh my God.
Can I say one thing about that no one's talking about?
And then I want to say something too.
Dude, I don't know if this is possible. I haven't looked at anything in terms of
not Chicago. They're not. He's not coming.
New England.
Okay.
I have never heard anyone mention New England. If Bill Belichick finds a way to get Deshaun Watson, dude,
they have enough draft capital. They have enough salary cap.
So, Obaid, you've asked us a lot of questions. I have a question for you, man, because you're good at analyzing players and situations and franchises and stuff. And I think that was a really good point you brought out, the number 1 possible destination being the New York Jets. Now, if you're the Jets, because I don't watch college football much, right? But I hear Trevor Lawrence is this stud of a player. You don't want to miss out on him.
Yeah,
if you're the New York Jets, do you trade away your number 1 draft pick to get?
They don't have the number 1,
or
they don't. The Jack,
or number 2.
They got the number 3, right? Number 3 or number 2?
2.
Number 2. Okay. Do you trade that for Deshaun Watson if you're the New York Jets and you're Robert Saleh?
Yep. 100%. That's not even consideration. You're getting a proven franchise quarterback asset who's 25 years old. He has, at least with how quarterbacks now are preserving their bodies and on course with Tom Brady and
you make them sound like mummies, dude.
Yeah, preserving their bodies. Yeah, exactly. But taking care of themselves and just knowing how to play the game right now and just the longevity of a lot of these NFL players. You getting a proven asset and a top 7 quarterback, you could say. You can't really argue top 7. Maybe top 3, he might not be in there, but top 7 for sure. You're getting a top 7 proven commodity. Absolutely. You do trade. You do whatever it can. You do whatever you have to do. You trade your first, second, Sam Darnold, the Snickers bar, whatever you want to do. You trade that guy. But knowing the Houston Texans organization, they probably would trade him for a bag of Lay's. That's what they would do. That's how terribly mismanaged they are.
They're so bad.
And Cal McNair, Steve Easterby, excuse me, and now Nick
Westerby,
excuse
nice.
me.
Good one.
Wow, you caught me off guard. I'm very impressed. And now Nick Caserio. Basically, they're trying to be New England light, but they're literally going in the exact opposite direction. Speaking of going in the opposite direction, we had 2 teams playing totally opposite. Come Sunday, the last game of divisional round was the Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. And as bitter of a sweet game as it was, and as how hyped game with 2 surefire first ballot Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Tom Brady and Drew Brees, I think we might have seen the end of one of them to ever play the game of football game. And that is a big shout out to Drew Brees. Great career, top 10 quarterback of all time, in my opinion. And we had a really, really tough game. And I think we all sort of predicted that the Buccaneers would win because of just how, I guess, poorly Brees was playing down the stretch. And I want to hear Brahim's thoughts on what he thought about the game and the outcome and, at least a quick prediction moving forward for next week.
So actually, before I do that, I do want to give a shout out to Drew Brees. I remember when we tore up his knee, and the Chargers went with Phillip Rivers, and no one wanted to give this guy a chance. I remember he went to Miami. Miami decided that he was too much of a. Oh, it was his shoulder. Sorry, I'm getting people confused. Miami thought he was too much of a risk, and they went with Dante Culpepper. He was the one that had the knee injury. And they basically thought they went with the better guy. And Drew Brees, he goes to New Orleans and he puts in work. He brings them a Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina, and he was solid for them. He basically, he changed the direction and the trajectory of that entire franchise. So I do want to give him a shout out. He was a lot of fun to watch. But like you said, I think his career is done after this, right? With the injury that he suffered this year and everything that he went through, it's just not Drew Brees anymore. And it's a lot of that concept of, just falling off a cliff, right? A couple of games ago, I started thinking, he might be able to pull something together. But against Tampa, against the Bucs, it all came apart, man. Those 3 picks, horrible QBR. It was a rough game. But on the other side of the ball, we got to give Tom Brady all the credit. Tom Brady is 43 years old, and he did exactly what they needed to do to win. He knew that he didn't need to, throw for 400 yards, 500 yards, and get a bunch of touchdowns. He knew that he just did not have to turn the ball over. And the big difference between this game and the previous game that they played, they couldn't get to Tom Brady. There was one early sack. But other than that, he was clean. There was no picks. They ran the ball effectively. They had 2 running backs that, both got him like 62, 63 yards. And Tom Brady just took what the defense gave him. And to me, that's been the hallmark of Tom Brady's career, right? And it's something I feel like he learned from Bill Belichick, right? It's, you just don't turn the ball over. I know he had 1 fumble, but they recovered it. Don't turn the ball over. Our defense is good enough to win this game. They kept a great Saints team to 20 points, and Tom Brady put enough points on the board for them to walk away with a W. And I feel like that's been a hallmark of his career. He's stayed away from the mistakes. He's been effective. He's come up big where he needs to come up big, and I got to give him props. Right, the conversation at the beginning of this year was Brady or Belichick. And the Pats didn't deliver. Tom Brady is out here in January, still balling, and we might blink and he might be at his next Super Bowl.
Interesting point that you brought up with kind of a key to the game was the turnovers and lack thereof pressure actually on both sides. Brees had 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions, and actually, funny thing is, for as well known of a front 4 Tampa Bay does have, he was not sacked, Drew Brees, and he was only rushed 3 times. So it kind of just proves you the ineffectiveness of Drew Brees he had for whatever reason. And I think that just proves even more the effectiveness. Take what you get from the defense and pick them apart. Granted, he has weapons up the wazoo. Tom Brady does now, and obviously for the last few years in New England he never did, but he still had pretty good success with them with what he had. But now that with the caliber of talent that he has all around him, he is proving their worth, and also he is showing that he is an ageless wonder, and he is the GOAT, the greatest quarterback of all time, and he's just showing it. A team that was 7-9, kind of on the mend last year, and he just taken them to the NFC Championship game, and they're gonna go he's gonna go toe to toe with the bad man himself, Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be an exciting matchup. What are your thoughts on that, Daniel?
Wait, can I add one more thing about what you said in terms of not getting defensive pressure on Drew Brees? We actually, I remember watching the game. They basically put 2 safeties deep, and they tried to take away what Drew Brees does best, which is in the middle. And so they really forced him to throw the ball outside of the numbers. And if you look at a lot of his, turnovers, it was because he was forcing the ball to the edge, and he just doesn't have the zip on the ball anymore. And so when he throws it out to the edge, it just hangs in the air and it becomes easy picking.
I think one of the biggest plays when New Orleans was up 20-13, they had the ball in Tampa Bay territory, and he threw a pass to Jared Cook, and he had the first down, and then Cook fumbled. And then from there, kind of the game turned around because it was looking like New Orleans was going to score, and it might have been at a minimum 23-13, but then, or at least even a touchdown, 27-13, but ended up being a 14-point turnaround. And ended up being tied. And then obviously from there, it kind of went downhill. And, they were struggling, the Saints, and the Buccaneers did good. And I just think, as it being, as much as Breeze has meant to New Orleans, kind of bring the city down from the ashes, and I'm talking from a literal standpoint, a team literally drowning and a city and organization in the dirt drowning, and he brought them back up. So, and that can't be, you really can't talk about that lightly, and just how much of an impact he's had. But unfortunately his time has come, and I think as much as we'd like for him to play, I do think that this was his final game. What did you have to think about Drew Brees' final game, Danielle?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think he's played his last game. And as Ibrahim mentioned, right, I think the one thing is he doesn't have it anymore. I mean, he's accurate, but one thing you got to be able to do is throw the ball deep down. And that's something he struggles with. That's something he's not been able to do this year, in my opinion. And major reason why they weren't able to score more than 20 points against a Bucs defense that is not known for pass coverage. The other thing is, as mentioned, 3 interceptions and a QB rating of 38.1 is not good. And then, by the way, where was Michael Thomas? You're supposed to be the best receiver or one of the top 2-3 receivers in the game, and you had no catches in an NFC divisional playoff game. So something to
by the
think
way,
about.
he had a torn shoulder.
I don't care. You play, you catch a ball. I don't care. You got to catch the ball, or you don't play. Then if you can dress up, then you give it all.
Well, right? It's not about playing. I mean, that kind of just comes back to the point where Breeze wasn't able to get him the ball. That's the thing.
Then are you cheating your team by playing and stopping another player that could benefit the team better? Right? You're taking reps from a player.
No, I'm literally making your point. I'm just saying that.
No, let me make my own
couldn't
point.
Get him the ball. My point is, and again, this might be a controversial take, the New Orleans Saints would have won this game with Jameis Winston as their quarterback.
Whoa.
Well, not Jameis Winston. I don't know about Jameis Winston, but the one guy that was missing, I thought that's critical to their success, is Taysom Hill.
Correct.
I think he's a good quarterback, at least a couple of games he played. I think he can run the ball, especially in this age of mobile quarterbacks that you need. I think that's who they're gonna go with. Jameis Winston, I mean, yeah, that was a great flea flicker that they copied from the Bears, the week before, same exact play. But for some reason, when it's the Saints, the receiver is wide open and he catches the ball. When it's the Bears, there's always, defender close by and the receivers are going to drop it. I think that's just how it goes for the Bears fans. But nonetheless, I feel like Taysom Hill would have been a factor. I think he's awesome. And Brady, I'm not going to take too long, but just really quick, he's beaten 18 different teams in the playoffs. That's crazy. He just came to the NFC just now. He's beaten 18 NFL teams.
I can't even count that high.
I know. And he has 32 playoff wins as a quarterback. The second closest has 16. That's half. And out of the 21 seasons he's played, 14 of them, he's reached the conference championships. Just think about that. It's crazy. Brady's amazing. We're going to be amazing watching the next game. Go ahead, Yusuf.
Yeah, dude. I think you guys all brought up really good points. I think for me, like I said last week, this was the game that I was going to keep my eyes on just because there were 2 legends going at it. Guys who were at the quarterback position since we were all in elementary school. Like, that's wild for me to think about. And so it was more of a moment of reflection for me, especially knowing that Drew Brees is probably retiring after this year. And, whenever things like this happen, you kind of look back at stats and everything and what he's been able to do. And, like you guys alluded to, Hurricane Katrina and how he put that entire city on his shoulders and helped, bring some type of hope to that city. can't be undercut. But the other thing that I found surprising was, dude, 15 years in the league, Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks to play the game. He leads the league in most yards ever by a quarterback, and he's only number 2 in touchdowns, second to Brady. This guy never won a league MVP. Like, for me, that was shocking. And, you look at his stats, he's had multiple seasons where he's thrown over 5,000 yards passing. He's had seasons where he's had 46 touchdown passes. And for him to never win a league MVP, I think we'll look back and, wonder why. And, I kind of want to look back and see who was the MVP in those years that he like really just balled out. You look at his season. I mean, his
Probably
career.
Peyton Manning when this team was winning and going into the playoffs.
This guy. Well, that's another thing. In his 15 years of playing in the NFL league, Drew Brees has only had 6 seasons where he's been under 500. So, he's been largely winning. The other thing that I wanted to point out was his career quarterback rating is like 98.7, which is a little bit above Peyton Manning's 96.5. Just things, there's obviously different scenarios, but the thing that will always stand out to me is the 2 instances where Drew Brees was literally robbed from being in the Super Bowl, man. Like, that no call on that pass interference against the Rams really hurt him. And then the Stephon Diggs. Remember, we were in Youngstown.
I was asleep.
And there were 14 seconds left in the game, and Drew Brees had just like marched down and gotten a touchdown, and I was like, this game is over. And Case freaking Keenum, bro. That's gotta suck.
Keep in mind that was that was in the divisional round, and
I know it was
Philadelphia. So
yeah, but I mean, who knows what would happen, right? I'm just saying, like, it's just these moments that you look back and you go back to the shoulda, woulda, couldas. But heck of a career. The game I thought was a little bit closer than it seems. I think the interceptions at the end hurt. So it'll be interesting to see Tom Brady go at it against Aaron Rodgers.
We have 2 of the best of all time going at it. What are your guys' predictions for the next week? Let's start with the NFC game. We have the Battle of the Bays, Battle of the 12s, however you want to write it up. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Packers, Buccaneers. Who do you got and why?
I can go first really quick. Buccaneers, Packers, 2 of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. I am going to go with the Bucs. I feel like it's going to be a shootout, 35-32. And the Bucs and Tom Brady are going back to the Super Bowl.
Wow. I gotta respect the bold prediction. I gotta go with Green Bay. I hate to say that. I hate to say Green Bay is gonna go to the Super Bowl. But I don't know what the Bucs are gonna do with Aaron Rodgers. I really don't. He's just playing at such a level right now, and the Bucs aren't known for their defense. So I just don't think they can stop him. And I think if you put that kind of pressure on Tom Brady to go touchdown for touchdown with Aaron Rodgers, at his age, I don't know. I know he can still ball, but I don't know if he can ball with Aaron Rodgers right now. So I'm going Green Bay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with Ibrahim real quick. I think Aaron Rodgers, again, has looked the most comfortable he's ever looked in his career. I think Tom Brady's a little bit, I don't see Tom Brady being able to go punch for punch with Aaron Rodgers. Give me Green Bay 31-18 over the Bucs, and I hate to say it as a Bears fan, but dude's balling.
I concur with Ibrahim and Yusuf. I do think Green Bay will win. Aaron Rodgers has never played an NFC Championship game at home. This is his first time, and I don't think he's one to squander opportunities. He's going to come out, and it's going to be a very tightly contested game. And I do think, and one interesting stat is Rodgers has lost playoff games 8 times. All 8 times, the other team has scored more than 37 points. So it's going to be largely on the defense. And let's see if they can step up and help him out. And help him out. Can Patrick Mahomes help out the Chiefs and be there for them? If he can, pass his concussion protocols. What do you think, Danielle, in terms of AFC predictions?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, a good game. Bills and Chiefs, 1 and 2 seeds. I see the Chiefs coming out because I think the Mahomes is going to play. I'm going to keep it simple. 28-24, Chiefs going to play against the Bucks in the Super Bowl.
Daniel, sorry, Brahim.
I'm like, he just went. So
Yusuf, go ahead.
Okay.
go ahead, Yusuf.
All right. Yeah. I'm just going to say, if Patrick Mahomes plays and, I hope he's healthy if he plays, I think the Chiefs will come out on top. I think they'll win 24-17. If Patrick Mahomes is not there, I got the Bills over the Chiefs 24-10.
For me, it's tough to make this call just without knowing where Patrick Mahomes is going to be. For some reason, my gut is going Kansas City either way, with Mahomes or without, because there's also the Bills have to prepare for two quarterbacks now. I don't think we're talking about that. They have to essentially prepare two defensive schemes for two quarterbacks. The only recent film they have on Chad Henne is from Week 17, where he played a full game. But other than that, there's no tape on the guy for the past couple of years. And I feel like Andy Reid's going to put him in a position to be successful, and he's going to have all the weapons around him. He's going to have Hill. He's going to have Kelsey. I feel like you can't take away the heart of the champion, and the Chiefs they make the game look so easy, on both sides of the ball, and so it's a gut feeling. I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo wins if Mahomes isn't playing, but right now I'm picking the Chiefs either way, and I want to see what happens.
I don't care if it's the Chiefs, Indians, Redskins. I'm going Buffalo Bills. Upset special. Josh Allen, Bills Mafia. I'll see you in the Super Bowl. And thanks again for watching the BenchMop Scrubs podcast. We'll see you guys soon. And thanks for always supporting and listening to us. Catch us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. What else, guys?
YouTube.
What else are we on? YouTube. I think we got our Parler account deleted.
No, it's up. I just checked.
Is it? All right, great. All right. Well, we'll catch you guys again next time. Thanks again always for tuning in, and peace out. Much love.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Well done. But I am calling a Buffalo Bills upset, by the way.